be willing to join us for this special call meeting. We've got some items here that we do need to deal with urgently, and certainly appreciate your participation. Let's begin with a roll call. So, Casey, our staff members will do the roll call.
Ms. Chansey?
Here.
Mr. Edwards?
Here.
Mr. Ferguson? Ms. Hartgrove?
Here.
Ms. Kim? Ms. Kim? Ms. Tucker?
Here.
Ms. Cook?
Here.
And Mr. Ralston?
Here. So what's the official count?
Ms. Kim?
Hi, I'm here.
Okay. All right, Mr. Chairman, we have 7 present, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, we do have a quorum present, so we will proceed. First item on the agenda has been distributed to everybody is the adoption of the agenda. Is there a motion that we adopt the agenda as presented? So moved. Got a motion by Mike and second by
Lillian.
Lillian. Any questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The agenda is adopted. We'll move to the statement of necessity. Elizabeth.
Good morning, Chairman and board members. Pursuant to Tennessee Code Annotated Section 49.3.306, the Commissioner of Education is required to annually present and submit to the State Board of Education for approval a state minimum salary schedule for licensed personnel. In order to create the state minimum salary schedule, the Commissioner of Education must wait for the General Assembly to approve the budget. This leaves a limited amount of time for the State Board to approve the salary schedule and for local education agencies to set their own salary schedules based on the state minimum. Because of the limited time for the State Board to approve the salary schedule and local education agencies to create their own before the start of the next school year, this teleconference meeting was called to allow the State Board to review and approve the proposed salary schedule. As members of the State Board reside across the state, it was determined that a physical quorum of the members could not be assembled in Nashville for purposes of this special called board meeting. As such, the State Board is meeting via teleconference to review the salary schedule and other time-sensitive rule and policy revisions.
Okay. Thank you, Elizabeth. Appreciate that.
You're welcome.
We'll move to the action items on first reading. And without objection, we'll take A and B together as one item and have a roll call vote. Tammy, you go present that?
Yes, thank you. This is Tammy Shelton, thank you. In looking at items A and B, we're looking at to approve 2 new course codes for intervention tier 2 level, one for mathematics and one for English language arts. So item A actually incorporates those 2 new courses into the approved high school course policy 3.205. And item B actually would approve those courses on first consideration. So just a quick description of the courses. So these are our intervention courses. So they're designed for students that are struggling in their core classrooms on standards. And so these courses are not based on a specific set of standards, but they're based on individual student data and student-specific needs. These courses actually provide intervention in specific skill deficits that students are lacking. Students are placed into small groups with other students that have the same skill deficit area. Through these individually developed courses and interventions for students, some of the key components that we see are database decision at the school team level. So school teams review individual student data and make decisions on where students need that extra intervention on skills deficits. They used research-based intervention to provide this instruction to students. They also progress monitor students every 1 to 2 weeks throughout the courses to make sure that students are progressing and are closing those gaps. And then there's progress monitoring at the school and district level to make sure that these courses are being implemented with fidelity. So a lot of our schools, or the majority of our schools, are already offering the Tier 2 interventions currently, but they've been using just various course codes. So many of our schools have actually been applying for special courses in order to get a course code to provide this critical intervention services for our students. So this would just make it a permanent course, give those districts a permanent code that they could use so that they can provide this needed intervention to our most struggling students. Any questions on these two items?
I have a
Yeah.
question, Allison Tansey.
Yes?
Okay, Allison?
What are the qualifications of these teachers? What will they be certified in to teach these courses?
So, of course, it's a certified teacher at that grade level within that school. And then, the majority of the time, and definitely encouraged by the department, is for those teachers to be certified in this specific area, which is math or ELA. However, we do have some schools that it may not necessarily be a math or ELA certified teacher, but the school does provide training around a specific intervention that is provided to the student, to that certified teacher.
Okay, thank you.
And this is Lillian Hartgrove. I do have a question. The course code in the course description document says to be determined. Do you know when that course code number will be finalized?
Yes, it literally takes us at the department a day, so we can pull a code immediately once this is passed on final read.
Okay.
Yes. So one other thing I failed to mention, Mr. Ralston, if you don't mind, is that on the course description that you received for the Math and English Language Arts, in the box at the top of the course, it actually, under Program of Study and Sequence, it states that these are elective courses. The second sentence in that box said that they can be a part of the academic intervention focus area. We actually at the department would like to recommend that that sentence be removed. So we would not want these courses to fall under an area of focus for students.
What does that mean?
So yes, so for high school graduation, our students, on top of the graduation requirements, also have an elective focus that they choose. So they choose those 3 elective courses that are in a concentrated area. So some students may have an elective focus in mathematics. Some students may have an elective focus in agriculture. So they concentrate 3 electives so that they really get a deep focus in one specific area. We would not want districts to use these courses as an elective focus.
So let's say that they need a lot of intervention in language arts, specifically reading. Are we saying that that is elective?
So
That's discretionary?
So yes, yes, based on that. So one clarification that I can make as well is, so these are tier 2. So this is like the first level of intervention for students that are struggling in our core classes. It's about, on average, it should be about 10 to 15% of our students. We already have, and State Board approved a couple of years ago, a tier 3 intervention course, which is our actually most needy, most at-risk students. And usually that's about 5% of a school's population. The tier 3 courses are allowed to be used as an elective focus. So our most needy students can choose to do this as an elective focus, but this is just the first level. So we hope that the majority of these students that are just needing some help in skills deficits will not stay in these classes long term. The goal is to really provide that intervention and get them back into just core instruction only.
Okay, other questions for Tammy? Okay, is there a motion that we approve both items A and B on first reading?
So moved.
And that was
Ms. Tansey.
Allison,
Yes.
okay, and a second.
Second, this is Wendy.
Wendy, second. Any additional discussion or questions? Okay, call the roll, please.
Ms. Chansey,
Aye.
Mr. Edwards,
Aye.
Mr. Ferguson? Ms. Hartgrove?
Aye.
Ms. Kim?
Aye.
Ms. Tucker?
Aye.
Ms. Cook?
Aye.
Mr. Ralston?
Aye. The motion is unanimous, passes unanimously. It is approved. We'll now move to, the action items on final reading. First item A is the state minimum salary schedule. Mary Ann, you go present that?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
Thank you. As you know, the fiscal year 18 state budget includes approximately $100 million for teacher compensation. Districts are not required to provide an across-the-board pay increase based only on seniority or educational levels, but have flexibility to determine how those dollars may be best spent in their districts. Under Tennessee Code, the Commissioner of Education is required to present a minimum salary schedule to the state board annually, and that's what we're here to do today. The current state minimum has a base salary of $32,445. The proposed schedule for next year, for 2017-18, increases the base to $33,745. In addition to that increase in the base salary, the department is also proposing an increase to the increments required for some years of additional service and advanced degrees, for an advanced degree over a bachelor's, and then for experience increments at years 1, 6, and 11. Now, all of the improvement in salaries must be spent on teacher compensation next year, regardless of what action is taken on the state salary schedule. The state salary schedule and these proposed adjustments represent merely the minimum that a district must pay to individual teachers. The overwhelming majority of school districts already meet or exceed this and will continue to do so under the proposed changes. We did estimate that 46 school districts might be required to make increases to at least one level and step on their local salary schedules, resulting from the proposed increase in the state schedule. For these districts, the increase that they are receiving through the BEP for instructional salaries provides more than enough funding to meet the required expense and still have funds available for their own locally adopted salary schedules. We're happy to take any questions on this that you may have.
Any questions for Mary Ann?
This is Wendy. I have a question. Good morning, Mary Ann.
Good morning.
I think we all received a letter from Speaker Harwell related to this, and it seems like there's some confusion about the minimum versus all of the money being spent. So if I'm understanding what you're saying, this is the minimum, but they have to spend all the money, right?
That is correct. The state salary schedule sets out the minimums for various educational levels and various years of experience. But each year, when additional instructional salary funding is provided in the BEP, all of that instructional funding must be put toward teacher compensation.
So it has to be spent. It's not like if it isn't spent, it goes into a general fund or something like that. I mean, it actually has to all be spent, or if it's spent, it has to go.
It must be put toward teacher compensation. So it must be spent, and we look for their budgets to increase by at least the amount of increased instructional funding that we see. We do check their budgets for this annually.
So I guess my question is do you have any idea why there's confusion? I mean, I know Speaker Harwell is very engaged in education. And so if she is confused and concerned about this, then that tells me that there is a high level of confusion and concern about what the minimum means and the fact that it has to be spent. So I'd love to know your thoughts on where that confusion is coming from, and more importantly, what we can do to make sure that it's clarified so that people understand that all of the money that the governor put in the budget is spent on teacher salary.
Wendy, Mary Ann and I are sitting together. I said, I'll jump in and try to address a little of
Okay.
what I think may be going on. And I'll tell you, Nathan and I were working this morning on a letter to respond to Speaker Harwell and Chairman Sargent about this issue. I think one point of confusion is the difference between salary and compensation. I think when the General Assembly sends money for compensation, that can include things like Marianne said around benefits, not just the minimum salary. So I think that's one point of potential confusion in terms of the letter that we received. And I think additionally, you know, the law also requires, and our policy defines, and we're going to talk about in just a minute, some amendments to that policy, the requirement for districts to do something around differentiated compensation. So it's not that, you know, this money is going out and there's an across the board same kind of raise for all teachers. You know, the law is specific that there needs to be some sort of differentiating factor. So I think those two things, at least in my understanding, are probably where things are getting confused, and we're trying to clarify that in our response to the speaker.
Okay. I just want to make sure, you know, again, Speaker Harwell is so engaged in these issues, so it was a red flag to me if she's confused or if she's, you know, if there's some misunderstanding there. I just want to make sure that we're getting the facts out clearly on what that budget increase means for teachers.
Absolutely, yeah.
And what I see, the proposal here is consistent with what Speaker Harwell was recommending or suggesting in her letter. I guess the thing, and maybe what, Sarah, the letter you're talking about would help this. I think we need some clarification around some of the numbers that are in Speaker Harwell's letter. I don't understand exactly where they came from, and I think some clarification that Wendy suggested there would be helpful.
Yes, absolutely. And like I said, we're working on that even as of this morning. So I'll make sure that we're fully following up with her and Chairman Sargent to ensure that if there's any points of confusion, whether it's actual numbers or the way we're passing them through in terms of the minimum salary and the differentiated pay policy, that we clear that up. I agree. We don't want them to be confused.
Mr. Chairman, this is Nathan.
Mr. Chairman, this is Elizabeth Fivash. I think one other critical point here is the fact that the salary dollars could also be used to hire additional teachers, and that's what we see a lot of districts doing, is rather than increasing the salaries for the teachers already employed, they're hiring additional teachers, which is allowable, but sort of dilutes the increase in funding. And again, we hear from teachers that they don't actually see increases in their salary.
Okay. Other questions or comments? Is there a motion?
Thank you guys for those answers.
I'm sorry.
I just said thank you for the answers on that.
Okay, good. Okay, is there a motion to approve on final reading?
So moved. This is Lillian.
Lillian? Okay.
I had my mute button on and I was trying to get a question in. So I have time to ask.
Let's see if it's a second and then we'll have your question, Mike. Is there a second? Do we have a second?
Well, I'll second it.
Okay, it's got a motion and a second by Mike. Mike, you have a question?
Yes. So here is what appears to be occurring. We're putting more money than into compensation, which includes benefits, than anyone else in the country. It is absolutely, as a state. What the teachers are seeing is it's not really showing up on their paycheck. And I'm not talking about the minimum starting salary, the minimum salary. There's several things happening, obviously. We've got growth. We have one of the fastest growing states. All of those bring kids. That means everybody's having to expand. And we have benefits that are, particularly in healthcare, and both of those are eating a great amount of that mammoth funding that the state is doing. What we're not seeing, I believe, is that the districts are not doing what they've got to do on their side that would, in combination with the state's funding, start to see teacher salaries come in line with what a college trained with college debt, but a college graduate would expect to earn in the time that we're going to expect to recruit. I don't know how we fix that. I really don't, but without starting to be more prescriptive to what district's responsibilities are going to have to be. I have one question though. I think we've answered it, and this is going to sound really mid in the primer. So by passing this, there will not be a full-time teacher in the state of Tennessee that can earn less than $33,745.
That is correct.
That's correct, Mike. The other thing is that teachers cannot go down in salary. So, that's another very clear provision in the policy around differentiated pay, is that there's no room for districts to drop a teacher's salary from where it currently is.
Okay. Other questions? Okay. Casey, if you could call the roll, please.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Chansey,
Aye.
Mr. Edwards,
Aye.
Mr. Ferguson, Ms. Hartgrove,
Aye.
Ms. Kim,
Aye.
Ms. Tucker,
Aye.
Ms. Cook,
Aye.
and Mr. Ralston.
Aye. The ayes have it. The motion is approved. We'll now go to item B, the local education agency alternative salary schedule. This one is for Johnson County. Sylvia or Paul, who has it?
This is Sylvia. I'm on the line.
Okay.
Good morning, board members. Today you have in front of you a proposal from Johnson County Schools to move to an alternative salary schedule. This new salary schedule will be a single lane salary schedule containing 90 steps, each worth $250 each. Educators will advance along the salary schedule in accordance with their level of overall effectiveness. You will see that an educator will advance 3 steps for an LOE of 5. They will advance 2 steps for an LOE of 4, and they will advance 1 step for an LOE of 3. Additionally, the district will continue to recognize advanced degrees along the single lane salary schedule. Educators who obtain their first advanced degree will progress 16 steps, which equates to $4,000. The second advanced degree will receive 14 steps, which equates to $3,500. And the third advanced degree would advance along the salary schedule 12 steps, which is $3,000. Additionally, Johnson County does plan to keep some of their additional differentiated pay elements, such as their hard-to-staff components, as incentives, as well as the instructional roles that they have done in the past. So we are asking for approval of this alternative salary schedule, which will begin in the 2017-18 school year.
Okay, questions for Sylvia?
So why are you recommending it?
I think we have seen over the last 5 years, as many as 18 districts move to an alternative salary schedule. I think it aligns with our work in the Teachers and Leaders Division and encouraging districts to use our evaluation system to guide human capital decision making. This allows for highly effective teachers to earn more and more quickly over time.
Do we
I
see
guess
this as a better model than the state's current model?
I think it does allow us to recognize effectiveness and teacher performance in the classroom, which is very different than the traditional salary schedule, which is based on years of experience and advanced degrees. I think we have encouraged districts to be very judicious about the types of advanced degrees that are linked to student outcomes in the classroom. And I think this, the alternative salary schedules that we've seen and recommended in the past are, we believe, helping districts to align both their instructional priorities with their human capital decision making.
You know, this, I'm impressed with this schedule, as it seems to me like this is one of the better ones that I've seen that does place more emphasis on effectiveness and also advanced degrees. And I'm assuming that they're going to limit those advanced degrees, as they say they are, to priority areas and not just any advanced degree. But given that, it seems to me that this is one of the better models that I've seen out there for the kind of thing we've been promoting for many years.
I agree, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, other questions or statements? Okay, is there a motion that we approve on final reading?
So moved.
Mike, moves, second.
Second, Lillian.
Lillian, second. Any additional questions or discussion? Okay, Casey, if you could call the roll, please.
Ms. Chansey. Ms. Chansey?
Sounds like we may have lost her because I heard a tone. She might have dropped out accidentally.
Mr. Edwards?
Aye.
Mr. Ferguson? Ms. Hartgrove?
Aye.
Ms. Kim?
Aye.
Ms. Tucker?
Aye.
Ms. Cook?
Aye.
Mr. Ralston?
Aye. The ayes have it. The motion is approved. We'll move to item C, allocation of state and local funds. Mary Ann?
Yes, once again. This is the final reading for a change in the rule on the allocation of state and local funds to charter schools. Since the first reading, several changes were made following feedback provided by the Comptroller's Office of Research and Education Accountability. On the first page, we have clarified the language regarding the calculation of funding for each charter school, clarifying that it is based on current year average daily membership. We also on page 1 clarified growth funding and capital outlay funding, how that is to be calculated and paid out. And finally, we also clarified on page 1 that LEAs may not charge an administrative fee to charter schools, and also clarified the conditions under which LEAs may withhold funding from a charter for certain services that they have agreed upon. We're happy to take questions if there are any.
Okay,
Mr. Chairman,
questions?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, go ahead.
this is Allison. I'm sorry we were cut off, but I have returned.
Okay, thank you for returning. Okay. Okay, questions for Mary Ann? Any questions? Is there a motion that we approve on final reading?
So moved. This is Wendy.
Wendy makes a motion, the second
Second.
by Mike. Any additional questions? Okay, no, you need to call the roll. Casey?
Ms. Chansey?
Aye.
Mr. Edwards?
Aye.
Mr. Ferguson? Ms. Hartgrove?
Aye.
Ms. Kim?
Aye.
Ms. Tucker,
Aye.
Ms. Cook,
Aye.
Mr. Ralston.
Aye. Ayes have it, the motion is approved. We'll move to item D, strategic compensation policy. Sylvia, you got that?
Yes, Chairman.
Okay.
I'm unmuting my phone. Okay, you
Okay.
have before you strategic compensation policy 5.600 for final reading. This policy was developed earlier this year to provide clarity around the guidelines, to outline the guidelines, as well as the approval processes for differentiated pay plans and alternative salary schedules. Since first reading in January, we just made a slight clarification in language in section 1D around what we mean by trend analysis of educator effectiveness data, and you'll see those in your track changes version. Other than that, there have been no changes to the rest of the policy that you saw in January. And so we request final approval of this policy for the upcoming year.
Okay, questions for Sylvia? Any questions? Is there a motion to approve on final reading?
So moved. This is Lillian.
Lillian makes a motion, second. Anybody willing to make a second?
Sorry, I was muted. Second, this is Wendy.
Okay, Wendy, thank you. Any additional questions or discussion? Okay, Casey, if you could call the roll, please.
Ms. Chansey,
Aye.
Mr. Edwards,
Aye.
Mr. Ferguson, Ms. Hartgrove,
Aye.
Ms. Kim,
Aye.
Ms. Tucker,
Aye.
Ms. Cook,
Aye.
Mr. Ralston.
Aye. The ayes have it, the motion is approved. We'll move to item E, standards for school administrators child care programs. Misty,
Good morning. How are you guys?
good.
I am presenting for final reading the standards for school administered child care programs again. This is presented to you for 3 minor changes that needed to be made since the January 2007 board meeting. If you want me to go into detail, I can. There is 2 changes on page 15. We changed the ratio to mirror VHS. We reverted some language back to original, and then we added a chart to support diversified before and after school ratios. If there's any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer.
Okay, questions for Misty? Any questions? Misty, does this rule apply to Montessori programs?
Yes, sir, it does. This applies to all school administered child care. And so school administered child care is defined as anything school administered, obviously, but birth to 5, as well as school age before and after school programs. So it applies to all.
Okay.
If they're school.
Yep. Okay. Any questions? Okay, is there a motion to approve on final reading?
So moved. This is Lillian.
Lillian moves. Do we have a second?
Second, Wendy.
Second by Wendy. Okay, any additional discussion? Okay, Casey, if you call the roll, please.
Ms. Chansey,
Aye.
Mr. Edwards,
Aye.
Mr. Ferguson, Ms. Hartgrove,
Aye.
Ms. Kim,
Aye.
Ms. Tucker,
Aye.
Ms. Cook,
Aye.
Mr. Ralston.
Aye. The ayes have it, the motion is approved. We'll move to item F, special education programs and service rule. Elizabeth.
Good morning again. On March 16th, 2017, the State Board approved the Special Education Program and Services Rule. The approved version was sent to the Attorney General's office for approval as part of the promulgation process. Upon review by the Attorney General's office, they made a few changes to the rule which are being presented for final reading today. Most notably, they clarified how the characteristics for disability categories are demonstrated. And by this, for some of them, it's one of them needs to be demonstrated. For others, it might be one or more. So we added punctuation and or when appropriate to designate whether it's some, one, or all. Also, we clarified what the school year is, added the definition of a parent, and clarified how isolation and restraint is authorized by principals, in addition to some minor grammatical and formatting changes. Because of the time-sensitive nature of this rule, it will initially be filed as an emergency rule, and then later it will be filed as a rulemaking hearing rule. So we would ask that the board approve on final reading the changes made by the AG's office.
Okay.
This is Lillian. There is one minor grammatical error, I believe, at least the way I read it. On page 22, 1B, there are two additional, the Article A, the second one appears to be unnecessary. Do you see where I'm talking about? It says an extended restraint means a physical holding restraint lasting longer than 5 minutes, or a physical holding restraint. There's an extra A before that restraint. It's unnecessary, but it's minor.
Yes, okay. Yes, we'll adjust that.
Okay.
Elizabeth, this is Wendy. I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Wendy.
Okay. So I tried to go through and just sort of track what those changes were with IDEA, and it looks like that all they did was make sure everything was consistent. Was there anything, Elizabeth, that you saw that seemed either? I mean, I know you wouldn't approve it. You wouldn't recommend anything that was more restrictive than IDEA, but anything that looked different than IDEA, or anything that there was a flag about that for us that I missed?
No, absolutely not. If anything, I think this really just clarifies, because, with the disability categories, with some of them, the student will need to meet all of them. For others, it might be one or more. So the AG's office just wanted to make sure that the rule was consistent and the layperson could read it and determine how many of the characteristics would be required. So that was pretty much the only substantive change, and aside from the definition of parent. But as far as I know, we had a lot of concerns before as far as emotional disturbance and some of our definitions being a little more restrictive than federal rule, but that is not the case for these changes.
Okay, and those were the changes that
were approved in March.
We made last time.
Yes.
That made sure that didn't happen. Okay, great.
Yes.
I just wanted to make sure I wasn't missing anything else.
Yes, and of course, those changes are incorporated into this version as well.
Right. Great. Thank you.
No problem.
Okay, other questions? Okay, is there a motion to approve on final reading?
So moved.
Mike, makes a motion. Who was second? Who wants to do second?
Second. This is what.
I'm sorry, who?
This is Allison. I said.
Allison, okay, great. Okay, Allison seconds, Mike makes the motion. Any additional questions? Okay, Casey, if you call the roll, please.
Ms. Chansey,
Aye.
Mr. Edwards,
Aye.
Mr. Ferguson, Ms. Hartgrove,
Aye.
Ms. Kemp,
Aye.
Ms. Tucker,
Aye.
Ms. Cook,
Aye.
Mr. Ralston.
Aye. The ayes have it, the motion is approved. That concludes our agenda. Tiffany, we certainly appreciate you being with us. I think you're graduating today or tomorrow or sometime this week, aren't you?
Saturday.
Saturday. Okay, well, we certainly appreciate you being with us again. We do need your presence for quorums and so forth.
I worked out the scheduling. I was able to be here.
Okay, and we're hoping that you can join us for the July meeting also, if you're available. As we've said many times, you aren't off this board until you're replaced, and that applies to students as well as others. Okay.
Right now, it looks like I'll be there in July, so.
Okay, that's great. Great. We really appreciate that, and congratulations on graduation and all the honors that you picked up as part of that graduation. Okay, certainly appreciate everybody being online. That concludes our meeting. We do have a regular meeting scheduled for July the 28th and another meeting for October the 20th. And our plans would be to do a workshop the day in advance of those meetings as normal. Anything else for the good of the order? Nope. Okay. If not, again, appreciate everybody being on. The meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.